Okay, well, my name is Maya. This will officially kind of start this. If each of you want to, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this.
Of course.
Leo, thank you for sending me the lyric sheets.
Oh yeah.
That was very helpful for what I'm doing. So just to let you guys know, I'm working on a video essay about your first album, Hot Freaks. Gavin, my husband, and I actually, when we first met, he kind of did a litmus test with me, and he put on the Hot Freaks cassette tape he had, because everyone he dated was like, I don't really get it. I don't really like it. And I was like, he played it. I was like, this is so fucking good. Who are these people? Like, it was just like, it's just everything. It's just everything. I'm not gonna gush too much.
Oh, that's
but
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so it has your album has a very special place in our family's hearts.
Oh.
Yes. He actually got the last cassette. He had a little note with it that you had written that was like, thank you so much. This was the last one.
Sweet.
So he's always like cherished that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. I remember Cindy. I didn't know who he was. I mean, that's crazy.
Right.
I remember writing like, oh, last cassette. I'm gonna like last one. But that's crazy. He like got right on. That's cool. That's so cool. It went to him.
Yeah. Yeah. So small world, but yeah. So I love the album. I love how it kind of bends genres a lot. Like there's like, you got bubblegum stuff you got going, like Ronettes and Phil Spector production, and then you've got like your aughts rock, and then you got some synth stuff. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Could each of you introduce yourself and then your role in the band?
Yes. Well, I'll go first because we were talking about me. Leo, I sing and I'm primary writer.
I'm Sarah and I play bass and sing backup vocals.
I'm Celeste and I play keys and also sing backup vocals.
And then who are we missing today?
We're missing Darren, the guitar player, and Cody, the drummer. And they also sing backup vocals.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. Considering you all kind of parted ways, I assume it was like the band was fun, but now we move on. What has it been like to, after all that time, come back together and go on tour like that?
I think it's been crazy. I mean, there was that feeling to me of like, yeah, that was fun. This is the band. We did it, but gotta be like realistic or just like seems like it's just like try something different or like put a time limit on it and like try something different. And so it wasn't never like this doesn't work or anything, but I don't know, maybe that's that Midwestern sensibility of like, okay, we got time to move on, gotta act like an adult or something. Everybody was still available to do it, and that everybody had maybe at least felt willing to go back was so amazing. And like it's crazy, yeah, that we're doing it now. It almost feels like we didn't skip a beat though. Like I feel like we kind of like jump back into it with maybe a little more experience under our belts perhaps in life.
Yeah.
Sarah and I were talking last night about how if it happened like even a couple years earlier, it might not have worked out. Like just the timing of everything and that we were able to do it happened to work out when it did. So that's cool.
Yeah. Life seems to have a way of working out like that.
Yeah. And I think the pandemic, at least for me, just kind of like threw any like rules or like norms kind of out the window. It was like, well, we all just lived through this crazy thing and maybe like time isn't real and maybe you should just do whatever you want and not worry about like what you should be doing kind of vibe, which I think definitely helped me be like, well, yeah, I want to do this. Like, this would be really fun. And like, if opportunity comes knocking, like you should probably answer,
Yeah. Definitely.
That sounds like a Garth Brooks song.
Dude, I have been so inspired by Garth recently. I'm just trying to channel that energy in my everyday life.
Yeah.
It does feel like a weird alternate reality though.
Agreed.
Yeah. It feels like a
good one.
These are just like, I felt like when we went on the road, those were like our avatars. We were just like
exactly.
We just press pause back home and have the other body go out and do a bunch of stuff in a world that's unconnected.
Yeah, like somehow we mastered that. That's so cool.
Yeah, like looking back, I mean, did you ever imagine, everyone has like, oh, one day if I take off, but like, did you ever actually think you all would be here?
It's a hard question. I think about that because I'm like, I think the motivation always has to be you're doing it sort of intrinsically, or like it's best, I feel like, if you're doing it just because you want to do it. But there was that feeling of like hopefully that would turn into a career because it was kind of the thing I wanted to do the most, but also like no guarantee in that way, I guess. I definitely didn't think it would have happened, I
guess. Yeah. And like you said, the Midwestern sensibility of like, you have to have a real career and you have to do this and that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like in my family too, it was like, yes, we want you to like be in creative things, but like only kind of up to like a certain point,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't be a
total
weirdo
Midwest,
about
like,
it. Yeah. People love the arts until it like, they start thinking about like, well, are you on the right path? Is it profitable? And like, it's unfortunate, if you are like a lower to middle class person, like you have to prioritize being able to make a living off of it. But it's really exciting when you see people who are creative have the opportunity to not worry about that as much and just put what they want to into their creative endeavors,
Yeah.
Agree.
I mean, it definitely makes you feel like at least like, oh, like there's definitely people who want to hear it. So you should do this so people, and I think that's kind of the best part about it is just finding out there is an audience. That's kind of like, the most exciting thing, I guess.
Looking back at your history, Outset Island was the song, you did that remix song, and it kind of popped off in like a very niche like gaming community, and that was your first little kind of pop. So from what I've seen of other interviews, when you guys talk about Puppy Princess, they're like, was it your favorite song? And you all seem like, and I think too, like I personally, I fucking hate TikTok. Not a fan, but obviously you all have to have some kind of gratitude, whether you like it or not, for things taking off that way. With those things in mind, how has that impacted your perspective on the way the music industry operates and the way that your fans receive what you do?
Wow. I think, well, the one thing I feel about TikTok, which is interesting, is I think there is a lot of, for whatever reason, it did bring, there's a lot of like weird just sound bits that get popular and are like super huge, but it did also like resurrect a lot of other old songs that I thought was interesting. The one thing is like, oh, maybe music just needs context in people's life, and if they see a picture of their own dog or cat doing something to this song, it's like that's the window into like loving this and then wanting to find out more about it. So I'm like, well, that's kind of not a bad thing. If that seems very organic in a natural way. But yeah, I also feel like I don't feel like we're creators on TikTok really. I mean, we do. I'm not to downplay anything we do, but we're not, I feel like there's people who are really good at like, I don't know, like being a presence. I feel like we still like want to think about the album, and then we'll have a TikTok page that posts things, but it's not like our primary, it's just for fun, I guess. I mean,
yeah, kind of a marketing tool, kind of a way to connect with the audience a little bit and that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure, I think.
The original question was how did TikTok make us feel differently about the music industry?
Yeah, and kind of a song you didn't really have much, what I assume, much investment in, having that one that sends you off,
I feel like, well, not, and you mentioned Outset Island as well, which I feel like was a very, like, I really love video game music. I feel like I'm a fan like that, would go on the Overclocked remix, and I want to hear other people's versions of these songs. And so I'm like, oh, I know there's like a niche community for that. And that was like really specific, I feel like, or like, and some people like found about that song not knowing it was a cover or whatever, or like based on something. And so that was cool that it like really connected with like a niche group. I feel like Puppy is trying to be more of like a general sounding pop song, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I wouldn't know what I would say our favorite. I would now, it was definitely like probably, I think Write Me Letters was maybe more like I felt was our like artistic one or something, but I don't know.
Yeah. Do either of you have any thoughts?
I mean, it's been interesting learning about how it seems like the industry has changed in a huge way in the last even just couple years because of TikTok. And I feel like we still have a lot to learn about that, but it's interesting that this big group of people and a lot of different groups of people for different reasons, like using these sound clips, have an influence on major labels, and that the process is kind of like backwards from how it was back in the day, where it was like labels giving like an advance to a band, being like, you have some promise, let's see what you do. And so that's been really just interesting and weird to experience and learn about how like this label's like, hey kid, you know, this song, it's on the internet,
Yeah.
something's happening, I don't know what, here's some dough, you know, I don't know. It's just, it seems like they're learning about it too, you know.
Yeah.
Like they don't quite know, and they're just kind of like gambling based on what a lot of like younger people are into, and it might not even be like the actual song that they love. Like Leo started out saying, like then there's this waterfall effect of like people finding out about it or finding out about other songs, but it's weird that it's like they might be using it because somebody else used it, and then they're like taking a video of their dog, and then they're like, oh yeah, this one song that has the puppy in the title. I don't know, it's a big mystery how it all works.
I kind of like that it's like mystery, like Wild West, like nobody really knows who's in charge anymore, which is kind of fun.
Sure. I do admire that, and I don't want to like be too harsh on TikTok. I do enjoy the reels you post on Instagram, which I guess are TikToks, but yeah, I just don't personally engage with it, but I definitely understand what you mean of like it does put the industry into the hands of the consumers instead of, you know,
which is cool.
Yeah, Warner Brothers and all of these like media overlords, you know.
Yeah.
So with TikTok too, it's definitely, at least from what I've noticed, a much younger audience, and you'll share a lot of people's reels on your Instagram story, and they seem like they're, I mean, I'm 24, like they're younger than me. So these people were like a lot younger when you were first making that album. What is it like to see people of that demographic engage with the music that you made back in 2013?
Wow, it's actually so surprising, and like I feel like I've always felt actually maybe when that the best thing to do is to keep just writing more songs, because like the best thing would be something that fits to the moment most recently or something. And like, but it's like actually I don't know, it's interesting to me that people from like a different, you know, 10 years later or whatever would connect with it, because I'm like, oh, that's actually nice to hear. I mean, that there's somebody, you know, I'm surprised by that, I guess. Yeah. I would have thought it would have been more like, it seems like less people connected it with the same age range. So, I don't know what that means, but, yeah, I guess that was surprising.
I guess it just like never occurred to me, and maybe any of us, like in the past when we were playing shows. I mean, we just played shows at venues that we knew about, like in Minneapolis, and that would let us play. I think it just never occurred to us like maybe we're playing for like totally the wrong set of people. Never occurred to me. Like, yeah. Well, you don't know all this started happening, and then going on tour too, like just physically seeing people, like who was showing up, like it was generally pretty young people, you know.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was seeing like at a lot of shows people coming up like with their parents, and a lot of people saying it was their first show they ever went to. That was really cool. Yeah, it was cool that it was something that a lot of times like parents and their kids kind of both liked, which it's hard to think of like examples of that, but also makes me think about how like when we were younger, like listening to the radio, like we also were listening to like oldies and, you know, stuff from the 70s and stuff, and it's kind of comparable. It's like people like searching through the vault of the internet and being like, I found this old, gem.
This
My friends
ancient
don't know about
2013
it.
album.
Yeah, I'm feeling cool. Like nobody knows about it. I'm gonna like show my friends, and you can't get a copy, and they only sold a couple hundred cassettes, and I don't know.
I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, almost kind of like a fun, like oldies, like discovery, which makes it like more fun and like more cool.
There was like a group of people on TikTok who were like bummed, like, no, it's blowing up. They were like mad that it was getting like popular. Yeah, they were like, I listened to this 10 years ago and nobody knew about it. And they were like sad that other people knew about it, which is, I like that. I think that's
I feel bad for those
funny.
people. I feel like,
Well,
I
yeah.
wish we or in that, like, well, yeah, you're just like, oh, the OG fans, but I'm also like, oh yeah, no, I get it. I get that feeling of like you had something special, and then like everybody heard it, and then nobody, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like that one time Nick Drake like had a song, like a car commercial or something. It was like, no. Now I can't put that on my friends' mixtapes and be like, hey, have you heard this song? They're like, yeah, it's in a Volkswagen commercial.
Yeah, I hear it all the time.
Gavin was kind of like, he was excited because he's like, this means a vinyl release, this means this and that. But he was also like, there is that grumpy old man that wants your niche little thing. And so what's it like being on the like band side of that, being like, well, we want to pop off because we want to make it, but you got to pay respect to the OGs, like, what does that feel like?
It's interesting. Yeah, I do feel like, to me, like, oh, I wish we would have had 5 albums in like this before people knew about us or something, or like I wish we could have like really delivered with that fan base. I mean, if we hadn't quote like broken up or stopped or hiatus break, I'm curious to see what maybe it would have been like. Oh, we could have maybe even done a small tour in the area, or like gotten to do this at a slower pace instead of just like jumping into the swimming pool kind of. And I think that has maybe made it weird for people on both ends to be like, whoa, I thought this was just like the band, like we had to take our Bandcamp down, and then it was like that was people were disappointed, and I'm like, oh, I get it, like you were listening on there and that was a cool thing and it just disappeared one day. It was like,
and some of the YouTube videos and stuff too.
We had and it had to be a little bit more. There was like an original EP that we took off of Spotify, which was just older recordings, but I think people who like listen to it love to hear it, and like, so there's stuff like that I'm like, oh, that's regrettable, but I do hope that in the long haul, or at least we're getting to do some of the stuff that hasn't come out, the newer stuff we've been working on, and like maybe that'll make it all feel right, because it's like now we're all caught up, new fans, old fans alike. I don't know.
I hope people feel like it still feels like, I feel like it still feels like genuine, and we're just doing what we want to do. We just happen to have like more resources now. But yeah, I mean, we're not technically like on a label, and I feel like we still have a lot of like creative control of what we're doing, and I hope that like translates and people can be like, oh yeah, it's just like they're still like making the music they want to make, and it's still like very much Hot Freaks,
I think people have this perspective of like, oh, they sold out, they went viral, and they did this, and I'm sure that's pretty frustrating when you're like, no, now we can like pay our bills and focus on music, or even you might not even be at that point yet, you know what I mean, but you still have something to help you keep going with it.
I definitely feel that thing of like, oh yeah, I don't want it to, it's like, yeah, now it does seem like this kind of like, oh yeah, they sold out, or it could just people who loved it when it was clearly like just like an undiscovered thing. And I would just hope that we can just take the opportunity that we get from selling out and make a few more records like that, like we didn't sell out.
No, I don't think
just got an infusion of resources, that's all.
Exactly. it's not selling out. It's just having means to keep making music. If this didn't happen,
Well,
who's to say
and
you guys would have come back together?
and even just alone, just finding out that people were listening at all, like it was inspiring enough for us to be like, let's
Yeah.
make more music, which we weren't planning on doing. So
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. It wasn't just like the money side of it. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
like people are out there. They like want this. They want to hear it. They want more. Like definitely inspiring. Like Celeste said, just like, oh shit, we gotta rise to the
audience.
occasion and do it.
Yeah. Totally. Shifting a little bit, when I listen to it, to the first album, what I hear is a lot of Phil Spector sounds, a lot of like really clean production. And I guess before I get into that, I'm really impressed by the production value on this album, especially for it being an indie album. Was it just all of you that worked on the production side of it and like cleaning it up and mixing and mastering?
Well, we had a lot of help from our producer, Elliot Cazell, who also produced our upcoming one. So yeah, he was kind of, running the boards and mixing it, and really helped us kind of also like bend the genres a little bit. And I actually didn't think about it that much, but it is cool how like it all kind of like, we try to do a little column A, column B, try to do a variety of things, and I think he really helped like meld it. And so we had help, and we did it we recorded some of it at his house and then some of it at a like a studio in Wisconsin. Actually, I don't know if it's existence anymore, but
I'm gonna look them up right now, actually. Let's see. I gotta know. Yeah, I feel like we were able to do it in a pretty pro way for like not a ton of money.
Yeah, we did kind of the live band stuff together, which I think is important. And then we did kind of like keyboards, vocals, and a little bit of guitar stuff kind of after the fact, overdubbed at home. And that kind of is fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I find it very inspiring that you had such a clean first record as an indie artist.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear. That's cool. I kind of, in some ways, it's weird. It's hard to have that perspective, because for months I was always like, oh man, maybe we should have been more like tapey, dirty, or like not, but just different in that way, I think. And it's like, oh no, it's probably cool that we tried to go sound like ABBA or something. I don't know.
Well, like the thing about it is it's all over. Like you've got like Beach Boys harmonies on there. You've got like kind of almost like Strokes adjacent riffs, Vampire Weekend kind of melodies. I mean, like there's kind of, I was curious too, in one of your songs, there's almost like an A-Punk adjacent reference. Was that intentional?
I love that song, A-Punk. Which one? Can you tell me which?
Yeah.
I mean, is it? I know A-Punk is like.
Let's see.
I love that song, and I feel like I do like how it's really. I would compare it to like be like Boo or something, because it's like just a nugget of like a. It's really catchy and it's really short.
Boo. Yeah, I think so, because you're like hey, and it's kind of adjacent to that the A-Punk part. Yeah,
I would definitely say that. Yeah, I was definitely into that record for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with all of that in mind, like, what are each of your musical influences?
Ooh, I'd say all the people you've already mentioned and that I've mentioned. I've been really into Burt Bacharach lately, actually. But I like all those bands you mentioned: The Strokes, Weezer, Beatles, Stevie Wonder. But you guys can go.
Go for it, Sarah.
I'm just laughing because I talked about Garth Brooks, but like I love like top 40 country for some weird reason. Not so much like, I mean, I know all the top 40 country right now, which came to light when we were on tour, and I didn't like was not trying to reveal that about myself, but it came out. But yeah,
I love the best drive.
Yeah. Love like 80s, 90s top 40 country, and like listened to a lot of that growing up, and like a ton of like oldies. Like there was this really good oldies radio station near where I grew up. So I feel like a lot of that, had a lot of influence on me growing up and when I was like learning to play instruments and stuff. nowadays I listen to a lot of like pretty female heavy, like indie stuff, like Angel Olsen and Maddison Cunningham and like SZA and I don't know, people like that. I've been listening to a lot of like female artists lately.
I'm all over the place, I guess.
Yeah.
I like a lot
what's
of
in your record shelf?
my record shelf. Some Las Sucias. That's my sister-in-law's band. Thelonius Monk. I like a lot of his solo piano stuff. I like a lot of piano music. On tour, I realized I like Barry Manilow. And
Hell yeah.
That's a lot of Barry on tour.
I honestly
yeah.
like don't listen to that much new music because I feel like there's just already too much music. We don't need any more music.
Too
But
much.
I like making new music, but I like listening to old music.
I get that. When you decided to make the album, was there ever like a discussion about what kind of direction you wanted to take it in? Did you just kind of follow the vibe, you know, like what led that, like, because it feels very cohesive musically.
Leah had like a catalog of like 40 or 50 songs. And we all listened to them, and we listened for a really long time to a lot of songs, and then we made like a rough, everyone marked down their like 10 favorites or something like that. And I don't even know if you referenced that again, but it was just kind of like slowly picking the ones that were sticking. And then I think you had a final list, and then also Elliot, the producer, had his like favorites. We made a bunch of demos of a bunch of them, and then we made a bunch of other demos. we weeded through all of Leah's amazing songs.
Yeah, and there were a lot to pick from. I mean, it was hard to like, whittle it down, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the first album or the second one?
The first one, the 2013.
I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah. But okay, well that's great to know for the upcoming one. That's what you're doing. Yeah, because I am curious about
well,
where you're going with that one. Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
I feel like the first one was similar in that I think we just like, I think before like our very first show, I remember we played, I think 5 or 6 songs, including Day Off, and it was like Puppy, Letters, Outset, Day Off, and there was like one other song that we never played again called like, I don't remember, it was like a minor key and it didn't really work, and then there must have been one other one, Let's Get Off or something like that.
Oh shit, I forgot. Totally. It was all like bangers that first show. It was like, let's do all the bangers. Let's play them really well. Let's play like 5 of them really well. And then
and Boo. So I think we probably, like, of the album, we probably had about, honestly, half of it at our first show. And then over the next year and a half or whatever, 2 years, or it was probably just like the ones that, a few other ones like Pull and High School Boyfriend came in and stuck. There was others that kind of came in, Baby Birded, and fell off the cliff and never saw again. And then I think Heartache and Boyfriend were added like at the very end, like the last things we recorded. Those songs were written just to finish it out, and we never played them live before. So basically, that's kind of how it took about a year and a half, I'd say, to like get them all.
How do you all know each other? Like, how did you decide like, let's start a band?
Well, I know Sarah through, I guess, Preston.
I think through Cody and Darren.
No, they're Cody and Darren. So Sarah's from South Dakota. I'm from Minnesota. Celestes from Wisconsin. I have like some connections with South Dakota. I went to college there. Cody and Sarah like know each other from way back.
Like middle school.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Just kind of like, we kind of knew each other from South Dakota, Minnesota, and then we all ended up in Minneapolis, and Celeste was also there and she was in a different band, actually in a band with Elliot, the producer. And then she kind of joined up when we were starting to perform our album, right? Would you prefer our album release show? And then was that the first show, or was there
might have been something before that, but I don't know. I don't remember.
But that's a very
I snuck
short
through the
version.
cracks.
Snuck through the cracks. That's the short version. But yeah, if
Gotcha.
anybody would like to add, I made that confusing.
I mean, I feel like
The place that the first Hot Freaks album was recorded that I wasn't there for, that was with Elliot, and that studio is the same studio that like our band recorded at in Maddison, Science of Sound, and how that was that connection. And then
Gotcha.
I did find it really cute. It's just a Bandcamp page for Science of Sound, so I don't know if it's still active or not. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
There's a cute picture of Celeste's old band.
I think one of the owners of the studio at least now lives out here, I think. Not to
I think so.
not to dox
Ricky.
anybody
Yeah.
here. But yeah, I think that studio is now not, I don't think it's a studio right now, or maybe it moved. But it's
I
fun.
wonder
I
if
think
whoever
it's really
bought
interesting.
the house, because it was in a house. It was in a really nice studio in the basement of a really nice house. And I wonder if like whoever bought the house like kept it as a studio, like if Ricky sold it.
Right.
But anyway.
Listening back to like that demo EP that you had, there's more. I don't know if it's Sarah or Celeste that sing more on that.
That's Sarah, who sings on Puppy and
And
actually I wish we kind of started doing that live again, and I would like to. That happened. I think that's the one thing actually who Brian from Rare Occasions said that he thought we should do more, because with live we do a lot of more gang vocals and stuff. That I think the like this process of recording is oftentimes like, oh, okay, I'll finish the chorus now or whatever. But live, it's like everybody sings, and I think it'd be cool to do more of that kind of group vocals. But yeah, that's Sarah.
I forgot about that.
On Puppy, you sing the last chorus of Puppy.
I remember recording it at Preston's house.
Yeah. What made you like kind of, was it a matter of convenience of like, okay, there's too many tracks we got to get, let's just have Leo do it? Or was it like a creative choice that you all made?
Definitely now, to me, I think at that, honestly, maybe at that age, I was like, let's just get this done as fast as possible. And like,
I think it was a convenience, like an ease thing. It's like, oh, Leo's there. He can just like, whip out all the vocals.
And maybe just now I'm like sat on that idea for a long time, and I'm like, oh, actually, it's totally cool to have group vocals. And it's like, maybe I'm like, probably like, oh, is it better if it's like you resonate with one person singing this song, but it's like a group feel is probably cooler. It sounds more unique. I don't know. Whatever. It was a convenience thing. Yeah.
I get that though. I mean, it's a lot of work to put all of that out. But like with that in mind, so just want to preface this by saying like, I know a lot of people, even when you have any amount of fame, they like to like dig into your personal life and all that. So this question is not me trying to do that, but the latter half of this album has huge Bi King energy, like with the like, I mean, like you have a masculine singer singing about being in love with another guy. So was it like Sarah was originally intended to sing those songs? Were you always like, fuck it, we're doing it this way? Like, what was the... I need to know more, because
I was like, huh.
It's intrigued me a lot about this album. Yeah.
I always just kind of thought that it was like kind of the perspective was change. I don't really know. I always thought it was more like a perspective change thing, but I never really thought about it too much until like very recently.
Yeah.
It's kind of thing where honestly you can get away with doing that at local shows in Minneapolis, because first of all, nobody's really listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And also it's like kind of close enough where if you just hear a chorus, you're not like, you have to like kind of have your headphones on to get that, I think.
Sure.
Or at least be informed. And I think, so that was that fun thing of like, okay, in front of people, nobody really cares the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had always thought of them as being like high school boyfriend. I thought was from a perspective of a girl, but in the same way where I'm singing it and knowing that it's not going to come off like that. But I'm also kind of like, I want to think about it as like, well, if this is from anybody's perspective, and if anybody's singing it, that's interesting to me to hear what kind of people will, what appears or what gets read into if there's like, if I don't even know what, like, I don't try to think about what my voice sounds like. I would actually think it would be less, like, more higher pitched and maybe not super masculine, but maybe it does sound, I don't know.
I always assumed it was like, oh, he's just singing from the perspective of a high school girl. But yeah, just the other day I was like, when we were listening to the vinyl, it was kind of like, oh, I wonder what people think when they
interpret it. Yeah.
Well, I kind of think about how I listen to any other music where it's all kind of like a choose your own adventure, and like kind of Leo said, like what appears, you might even hear different words, or you might, who knows what sort of story people are conjuring up in their heads. And I don't know, I think that's kind of fun about listening to music. You can kind of go anywhere you want with it. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's some certain way where it's cool that people have like caught on to that, and like, or people like that about it, because it's like, I don't know, it was something that, I don't think it necessarily comes off as, if you hear the songs live, that's not like the first thing you notice or anything, right. But it's definitely like, it's cool that it still works as a song, or like it I don't know, even though it can be from anybody's perspective, really, I guess, if it still works as a song. So
right, it's a very interpretive art form, and that's the fun part about music. It's like movies, directors don't ever give away what the true interpretation is, because you leave it up to the audience to kind of interpret that. But I always thought it was interesting, because in 2013 that wasn't really something that many indie rock bands would do, and have that ability to like be like, I'm a guy singing about being in love with a guy, whether or not it's really intended that way or not. I just think it was very ahead of its time in that way.
That's cool. I mean, I feel like it's not like a new concept or anything either.
Right,
like, what is there? I think about like what are the people, the bards or whatever in the 1600s or whatever. Yeah, there's always like, or like Shakespearean actors being played by a girl, or a guy playing a girl, plural, or whatever. So there's like something that people have been, that keeps, it's been around.
Right.
So it's fun to, I guess. But that's cool that it seems like it was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I guess I imagine probably when the more interviews you do and stuff, you hear people say things like that, and you're like, oh yes, that was, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, totally. It
went exactly how we planned it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been, for each of you, what has been either the strangest or the most interesting or your favorite part about this entire experience?
Whoa. Who wants to go first?
Strangest or most interesting or best?
Yeah. Any of those feelings that come out to you first.
The best thing to me is just the fact that we're getting to do it again, and like make records and kind of hopefully tour, and like, like, that's the best. What is it? You have to think of one. I would say the strangest is like, maybe sometimes like meeting. We met. Well, I guess it's not been that bad, but we had some like weirder interactions, I guess. But then it's
sure.
I think combination of like strange and best is like, I personally have never played a show out of town where people like clearly knew the songs and were like singing along, and that is like a really strange but really cool experience, like to be on a stage and be like, we're in Atlanta and it's a Tuesday and like all of these people know this song. Like it's so bizarre. It's so cool. Like
that was really
definitely
weird.
Stands out for me.
It felt weird. It felt like you were like some like reality show where you like walk into a grocery store and there's like a bunch of monkeys with their own monkeys like bananas around it. You're just like, oh, where's the cameras at? Like, what's the joke here?
Yeah.
You're like
totally like, oh, this is
a big prank.
Right? Like, this is some like really elaborate prank.
Like
okay.
Like, yeah, for her birthday, we got everybody together and we pretended we all loved the band.
And all these hundreds and thousands of people are in on the joke for some reason. It's super weird.
We taught them all the songs.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're all actors. Yeah.
They're all actors.
It was really not strange, but it was also just like wild to meet. There was somebody at our Detroit show that knew the old band that I was in, and like your question before where it was like this guy was like, I think he was like maybe 15, so it's like he wouldn't he would have been a baby or not alive like when that band existed. And I was like, what? Like I already felt that way with Hot Freaks. Like I had no idea all these people listened to it, and then just finding out there's this other person that knows this other thing that I did a long time ago is like that. I did kind of feel like, all right, you guys are shitting me. Like that doesn't make sense, but I believe you. But
right,
the internet, you found it on the internet.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm kind of cynical, so I feel like maybe with so many people being like, I've been listening for 10 years, be like, where the fuck were you? And not that I think any of you are ungrateful, but there's got to be some kind of like.
Well, I feel like now I'm like, oh, I am ungrateful of bands that I listen to. Like, I should support musicians more. Should buy more music, go to more shows,
buy a t-shirt,
buy their t-shirts. Talk to them, tell them I like it, but
message them on Insta, see if they write back.
Post a comment.
Yes, engage with them online. What's the most, I mean, like I'll have like the merch link like blinking on screen right now, but like what's the most helpful way for all of you to support your band and what you do?
Buy a bucket hat. I guess if you buy a piece of merch, that'd be cool, or just check in on. We're having a record come out this year, and if you that'd be cool if you check that out when it comes out. And if we maybe you're gonna tour later in the year or something, we don't know, but if you do come to the show, that'd be awesome. Those are big.
It is. I mean, it does make a big difference when like more people show up and people who are like clearly fans, or even if they're not fans, but they like listen during the show and obviously like appreciate it. I mean, that's huge.
Cool.
Totally.
And then probably can't say a lot, but what can you talk about with your album as a teaser?
I would say that it's even, if you thought the last one was produced well, this one is even more hi-fi. We're actually having a different person mix it, so it's going to be, I think it's going to be very pro sounding and pro thoughts, pro attitude, pro ethos. No flubs, no clams.
It was really fun to make it.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun getting together and making it. And I think it's like, to me, it was like kind of a whirlwind of the whole last year. Just, I can't believe we're already kind of like done with that part, the recording of it at least. Like it kind of went, it felt long at the time, but also I'm like, oh wow, we're a year after this whole thing got popular, and we're sitting on like, we're about to put out new stuff and that we started after we reunited, and that's really exciting. So it's gonna be to mix some older songs and some newer songs. Some web sleuths out there might have Maybe you've heard one of these songs before. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember the paycheck one. I don't remember if that's the title of it, but
oh, Paycheck. Well, that
Yeah.
one is not going to be on it. Actually, we're talking about Post Paycheck.
okay.
And post the little EP that we kind of like slowly released this spring. Like it's all new even
Oh, like
beyond.
Lovely and like all
Yep.
those ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all new even beyond that. Yeah.
Cool.
There's some bangers. There's some
They
really
are
good
though.
songs.
They are though.
Yeah.
And then this time last year, I'm like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Crying and
So good.
headbanging. Yeah.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you like those, I feel like you're gonna like the new album too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the vibe. Those singles that you've been putting out is kind of adjacent, maybe, to this album,
Well,
or on the
that's
album.
Possibly.
No, that stuff is
Not
not
on
on
the
the album because that was also stuff that we did after after the first album, and kind of then we stopped, took a break and didn't really put that out officially, though there was some kind of YouTube videos and stuff, and but anyway, so this is all new since then, but some of the songs are quite old and some are quite new, or there's one that was like brand new, and then at least one that was probably like, as old as the hills.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you want fans to know or new listeners to know before we finish up?
I would just say, I would say check in with us middle of 2023. Unless we say otherwise, I think we might have some new music then. I would hope. And yeah, we're gonna work on it. We're working on a release plan. What do you guys got?
Yeah, I would say new music and hopefully more tour dates later in the year. So just stay tuned.
We're coming to Wichita.
Yes, please do. I got an air mattress for y'all. Don't even sweat it.
My family can come out too. That's there.
Yes, yeah. Celeste, anything?
I don't know. No, I'm good.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Yes.
It means a lot.
Of course.
Someone wanting to, meet you guys, and then also just learn more about those things and answer some of my questions. But yeah, I appreciate it so much.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and tell Gavin thanks for buying that last tape.
Yeah, we'll do. Cool. All right. Y'all have a good afternoon.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Take care.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.